Hello book lovers, welcome to Uncommon Reader. This is Daniela and today I'm responding to a tag. Finally, it's been a while. Sarah tagged me from Bell's Library on Off the Top of Your Head tag created by Gina at the Library Mouse. Thank you, Gina. Thank you, Sarah. I'm answering 10 questions and let's go ahead with the first one. What was your favorite picture book as a child? It's such a romantic story. This is Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and it belonged to my mom. It's probably a 1934, 35, I don't remember exactly, or maybe 37. And I have it in USA, so it's hidden in a box somewhere. So I'm very excited because I'm filming this a week in advance. And I'll be actually in California when this video is going to be released. But I'll wait to do the editing because I want to find the book and show it to you. If I can't find it, I'm going to try to find a picture online. It has the same drawings and pictures of the original movie, Walt Disney, Snow White. So very precious, and I should be taking care of it a bit better, not knowing where it is. But as you know, when you're sort of moving from one place to the other, it's always crazy, but hopefully it's not lost. The second question, what series did you love as a child? So I don't really have a series, but I remember I would buy, there's a weekly magazine for kids in Italy called Topolino. I don't know if there's something like that in USA too, but Topolino is Mickey Mouse's name in Italian. So I used to collect those and read those, and they had different stories all in the Walt Disney characters, of course. The third question, the worst book you have read or tried to read. So now we're moving to adulthood. And I think one of the worst books comes to mind is High Rise by Ballard. It's a dystopic novel, and it's a brutal analogy of the world we live in, and the protagonists actually live in this high-rise building, and everything seems to go very well until all hell breaks loose and people become violent and disrespectful towards each other, and it becomes a very gruesome, very disturbing book. The fourth question asks your favorite reading or book memory. I don't know if it specifically meant for my childhood memory or my adult memory. So I'm going to pick something in between. A book I read for school that is still in my head, a beautiful story of John Steinbeck, The Pearl. It's a very tiny book, but the story was very powerful. And since it's been years and years and years I've read this book, I'm going to rely on the description on Goodreads. A story of classic simplicity based on a Mexican folk tale. The Pearl explores the secrets of men's nature, greed, the darkest depths of evil, and luminous possibilities of love. And the protagonist is Kino, a poor diver gathering pearls from the Gulf beds that once brought great wealth to the kings of Spain, and now provide Kino, his wife, and their infant son with meager subsistence. Then, on a day like another day, Kino emerges from the sea with a pearl as large as a seagull's egg, as perfect as the moon. With the pearl comes hope, the promise of comfort and security. But think again. Very, very powerful. Moving on to the fifth question. A book you loved as a movie. The first book that comes to mind, I don't know about you, I feel sometimes that when you respond to book tags, the perfect answer escapes you. But I guess that, we should just take it for the playful thing that they are. So I remember on the top of my head The Namesake, the movie from 2006, directed by Indian director Meera Nair. And the book was the same, The Namesake, from Indian author Jhumpa Lahiri. And the story, since it's been years I've read that too, The Namesake is an incisive portrait of the immigrant experience that follows the Ganguly family from their traditional life in India through their arrival in Massachusetts in the late 60s and their difficulties melding into an American way of life. This is a debut novel that spans 3 decades, 2 continents, and 2 generations. I remember being very fond of the dad of the family, and I think the book really described the characters very, very well. But I'm not surprised because this director did a lot of other movies like Salam Bombay, Mississippi Masala, and Vanity Fair. Monsoon Wedding was also a really great movie. So she's pretty talented. So there you go. If you haven't seen The Namesake, it's a really cool movie. Number 6, a book you wish they would make into a movie. You know, I think a great movie would be The New York Librarian. And the authors are Mary Benedict and Victoria Christopher Murray. This is actually the story of Bella da Costa Green, who was the personal librarian of J.P. Morgan. I mentioned this book before because Bella was African American, but her skin was a bit lighter. And when she started working for J.P. Morgan, she passed for Portuguese descent. But she lived her life in fear of being discovered. But at the same time, she flourished into an amazing collaborator for J.P. Morgan. Not only she built up his collection that nowadays has become a museum in New York. And I think they're having also this year exhibit on Belle da Costa Green. So if you happen to be in New York, check it out. I wish I could, maybe, I don't know. I'll put it on my bucket list to visit New York in October this year. It would be perfect. I would love to watch this exhibit. The book, I think it's one of a kind, telling the story in detail. Of course, it's fiction. A lot of details are added in there to make it, I guess, the story more enticing, more intriguing. But the authors are well respected, so I'm sure that they also collected a lot of materials and most of the facts in there are reliable. Moving on to the 7th question, a book character that you would like as a friend. Well, many, but you know what? I think I'm going to honor my childhood and give Jo of Little Women my friendship, my forever friendship, because she is one of those characters that inspired me to be very independent. So those friends you never forget about. Number 8, a place you want to visit because of a book you read. This book comes to mind, The Phone Booth at the Edge of the World by Laura Imai Messina, who's an Italian writer that lives in Tokyo in Japan, has been living there for many years. In fact, she's married and have 2 kids there. She wrote this book, which for me is the best book I've read from her. It has become an international best-selling novel, sold in 21 countries, about grief, mourning, and the joy of survival, inspired by the real phone booth in Japan, with its disconnected wind phone, a place of pilgrimage and solace since the 2011 tsunami. Remember how many thousands of people died on that tsunami. And there are 2 protagonists, a man who lost his wife to cancer, not related to the tsunami, but the young woman that lost her daughter and her mother to the tsunami. They meet there and they will visit the place when they find out that they both live in Tokyo. And throughout these years of visiting the place, they sort of form a friendship, and it becomes something more, of course. And you may want to have Kleenex ready for this book. Moving on to the 9th question, a fiction book you would recommend. I would definitely recommend the book that for me was the best book I read in 2023, and it's V13, Chronicle of a Trial by Emmanuel Carrère. So last time I was in California, I was looking for this book in English because I wanted to gift it to my boyfriend. It's now finally looks like they have an English version. I'm not sure it's available in US, maybe in England, I'm not sure, but if you look for it, you may want to read it. I recommend this book not only because it's written by one of my favorite authors, French intellectual Emmanuel Carrère, but also for the way he narrates the trial of the attacks of November 13, 2015, that killed 130 people in Paris and injured 350. The trial was held between September 2021 and June 2022, and they've heard more than 300 witnesses, including survivors of this night of horror. The 20 that was accused were tried, including Salah Abdeslam, the only survival of the commandos of the Islamic State group. Emmanuel Carrère attended the trial and wrote a weekly column published in 4 major European newspapers. Of course, it's a tough read, but I think he was very, very thorough in exploring all sides of the story, including the technicalities of a trial, and of course the emotional aspects, the organizational aspect of the attack. So I found it extremely powerful, and definitely it's the book I would recommend for this question. Last question, if you could hang out with an author all day, who would you pick and why? Well, we just talked about him, Emmanuel Carrère. I think he's such a deep person, maybe even too much. Like in his books, he's very analytic about his thoughts and exploring his inner subconscious as well. So I find his books, and a lot of people find it hard to read him because he could be a little heavy sometimes, but I sort of have a crush on him, so I enjoy all the books. And V13 was actually the first book I read from him, starting with the last he wrote. And then I read Class Trip, Yoga, My Life as a Russian. I'm currently reading The Kingdom, which is about religion. Just let me tell you, he's an author that never holds back. So I would love to spend a day with him talking about books and anything else. This concludes my book tag. I thank Sarah again for tagging me along. This was fun, and I'm going to say goodbye before my phone tells me again that I've run out of space. So I better say goodbye, but before, I of course want to thank you all for watching this video and supporting this channel. I'll see you back here next week, maybe with a vlog. Why not? From California, North Carolina, who knows? Stay tuned. Happy reading in the meantime. Bye. Ciao.